Welcome to Spanos Antics. On this episode, we run back and have a look at the old GMC pickup truck. In this video, we take a quick run back and we look at the 1950 GMC half-ton pickup truck. I bought this, came all the way from Utah, straight out of a field, farm fresh, and then we completely stripped it apart and did a full-on mega resto on it. Chassis work, new axles, front independent suspension, full air ride. So took the old straight six out and put a big Toyota based 1UZ, you know I love my Jap V8s, and turned it into a badass truck. So what I've done is condensed the whole series of building that truck and I've shrunk it down into a little 30-minute video for you here today. So check it out. If you like it and you want to see some more details, go back, look at the older ones, and you can really get into all the nitty-gritty of how we built that truck. Unfortunately, I had to sell it to buy the workshop. Gutted. It's a very cool truck, and maybe one day I'll get the chance to buy it back. So yeah, enjoy. Don't forget, there's still a chance to get some merch. Get on the link below if you want to get yourself a Spanos Antics t-shirt or hoodie.
First part of this video is a bit of a photo montage. A lot of photos before we started videoing. So here she is, coming out of the container, all the way from Utah and back to the workshop. You can see here we managed to actually get the old straight six running, just about, after sitting in the scrapyard for how long, and then it was breaking all apart. This is George on the old forklift truck. Once the cab was off, we literally just started blowing the chassis apart, doing all the metal work to the bottom of the cabs, quite a bit of rust to sort out, and then painted all the bottom in the lighter blue, and then a satin clear coat over the whole truck to give it a nice protective finish, because I knew I wanted to use the truck as sort of a daily. Retrimmed it all in leather. That's the 4-link system that we went for. Rear axle was a 8.2 10 bolt, which we ripped all out, limit slip, and changed the gearing to a 355. This is the front independent suspension going on. Got rid of all the leaf springs, there we go, all on airbags. This was the donor car where we got the Lexus LS 400 engine, the 1UZ. Pretty legendary little engine, great little thing, super light, bags of torque. Patinaed it all in to match the truck. It looked a little bit 80s. Sound great as well. In the UK, it's the UK's version of the LS. And there we go. Just removed all of the original cross members, started making up our second chassis rails and welding them all in. A friend of mine called Carl came and helped me do all the work. There's the rear plates going over the back so we can get a bit lower, a cross frame so a bit more strength, welding it all up.
Hey, let's do it. Chassis with all my new cross members above my head. The chassis is all strengthened up, painted and ready to reassemble. I'll just talk you through the spec while I'm here. So she's got Mustang 2 front suspension, tubular arms and airbags. She's running disc brakes and a 2.5-inch drop spindle. Gets us nice and low to the ground. Original steels, copies, but a bit bigger with a different offset. The original radiator cross members in there, all plated in. And then here is all the new metal, all the new chassis rails, and they're all boxed in and tied in and welded in. Also had to move the booster, which I think I talked about. Move it back 30 centimetres and tuck it in a little cubby hole there. And we've also got our transmission loops, which tie it all together. I've started rerunning all the cables for the air ride and the wiring loom and the brake lines. That's all started to run through. Done solid cab mounts. Used to be on like a seesaw mount, rubber mount, but the cab wallows about a bit, so I thought we'd make that a bit better. And then also put large reinforcement plates where all the box section meets. All the transmission loops. It is gonna be a lot stiffer than it was. And then of course, a good old cross frame on the back, which does two things: stiffens it all up and looks badass. Very important. It also makes it a bit more three-dimensional strength, because we're going from up high in the chassis rail to down low. Box section makes it a bit more two-dimensional. This will actually give it three-dimensional strength. Now on the back, I templated up and sent off to the water jet company some plates, which all got water jet cut out by a local company. I'll put them in a link below. And then we welded them all in. Now this is gonna, you can see how much it's gonna add in drop. About 1.5 inches, I think. It's gonna drop the rear end, which will mean she'll sit pretty flat on the floor. 4 links all in, obviously, and there's our new chunky cross member. And then down the back, we're running airbag brackets off the back. Again, they were all designed to cut out on a water jet. The old lead weights, they are there to keep the back of this truck down, because before she was a little bit light on the tail. Bit of a mess in here, but in here is all the air ride clobber. It normally looks neater than that. I'll just all the wiring's tucked in there out of the way. And that's airlift 3, pressure and sensors. There's the sensor. Haven't put them on yet. They go there and tie down into the axle. So that's sort of where we are with it now. I don't think there's much else to say on that. But what I really need to do is get this thing all back together, really. I need to get that cab and those bits all back on here, and pretty pronto. One UZ chat. So what we've got here is a 1UZ FE out of a 1990 LS400. So these were a bit ahead of their time. They're full aluminium quad cam V8s. Through about 260 horsepower from the factory originally, these ones. They went up to about 280 in the later version, and then the VVTIs are up to 320 or something. This being the earlier one, it has the big thick rods, perfect for boost and supercharged application. It still absolutely rips. Behind it, transmission wise, we are still running the LS400 auto box. We did do a Transco shift kit with a hot rod shifter kit in there, and then also a Lexstream high stall torque converter, which is, so it's had all the auxiliaries taken off it basically. So now all it is running is a alternator. Let's bang it back in.
was a bit of a bugger. And there she is, snug as a bug in a rug. For those of you that, oh, I got the wrong dingle dangle. Oh. Sweet as a nut. Ooh, Scheiße. Ooh, Scheiße. As you know, I have been messing around with these exhaust manifolds and the original exhausts that we fitted on the truck before. Now, for some reason, with all the messing around and reinforcing the chassis, I think mainly a big part of it was moving this brake booster, because we had to move it inside all this box section. So we actually moved it backwards about 30 centimetres, and it's now fouling the exhaust, which is a bit of a bummer because it's a really nice system. So I think the plan of action is to drop the exhaust sections off, leave the headers on, just undo them on the V-bands, get the rest of the truck assembled, and then mock up this exhaust, see where we're at, and we'll probably pop round to Carl's workshop, pop it up on the ramp, and do a few cut, twists and turns and just modify it to make it all look lovely and match up again. I'm busy getting the chassis ready for the cab to go back on. Just all fiddly little annoying detail stuff. So brake lines, wiring, tidy up, little connections, nuts and bolts that just need doing. They're easy to do now while it's up in the air. But now that's all done, it's ready to pop on the floor. Drive shafts here. Woohoo! Let's bring it back in. In she goes. Okay, I've got it sat quite low, but what I want to do before I put it on the floor is just see what twist we've got in the chassis. So before we started all this, we had corner to corner approximately 20 centimetres of lift before the other side would lift off the axle stand. That's because originally the chassis was, a lot of it was riveted together and it's designed to have a lot of flex and give. They were designed to be an agricultural vehicle as well as a pickup, so you could sort of use it as a farming vehicle, drive over a plough field, and everything would give and stretch so it's not to break anything. So let's have a look and see what we've achieved. 58, top and bumper. Let's have a look. Oh, already moving. God, what's that then? That's like 2 centimetres. We've gone from 20 centimetres to 2 centimetres of twist diagonally across the chassis. That is incredible. Okay, so we've got drive shaft in, the brakes all bled up and no leaks straight off the bat, happy days. So we're pretty much ready to pop the cab on. I'm just waiting for my buddy to pop over with his forklift truck and we can reunite the two. Right, time to put these two together. Happy days.
I'm trying to get it ready to get his nose back on. Could that be good? Also running this. This is an electric power steering pump out of a modern car, an Audi A3 I think. So this means we don't have to run a power steering auxiliary pump off the engine to run our rack. It's centrifugal, like the ones I use in the Mini, so they make a bit of a whoosh, like a whirry noise. So I'm just going to do a little test run, put some fluid in, and see what happens. Whoa! Something was happening there. For some reason it just forced the steering wheel in one direction. Let's have a little bit of a wiggle. Whoa! What is going on? Okay, car's on its wheels. Let's give this power steering a little go, shall we? It's not the quietest thing. Well, it's doing the thing. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick chat on air ride. Each four corners of the suspension, instead of having springs that compress and contract, you have an inflatable airbag. Also, you can adjust the amount of air in the bags to adjust your level of your ride. It's particular system I've got on here is Airlift 3, and it runs on pressure and sensors. Because it's got a computer and a brain, you preset particular ride heights, and it is continuously working to achieve that ride height by adjusting the pressure. So it's a very intelligent, clever bit of kit compared to the old days where it was just paddles and you just kind of set it best you could. So let's do a little show round. And there it is. Airlift Performance. So that is your manifold, they call it. So that is the brain which delivers the air to the different areas. That is a compressor which compresses air, and then it gets stored in an air tank, and then the air tank keeps a bit in the tank ready to do the airbags. Rear bags sit between a bracket on the axle and the frame, and the front bags go where the spring used to go, in between the control arms. So with Airlift you have this little management gizmo, if you can see that. It's inside the car normally, I've just got it here for ease because everything's apart. So these are the parameters it's trying to achieve at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit the preset button, this one here, for as low as it goes. And she's gone all the way down. I'll hit the button to bring it back up to ride height. And there she is. See here I've got my little sensors attached to my control arms. The rear ones aren't attached at the moment, so I'm just running on at pressure at the moment. As I say, the car's all in pieces anyway. Airlift 3. We can also link it to your iPhone, but I am using my iPhone to record this video, so I can't show you. But the app mimics the screen on there, and also you can do it remotely. At last, it is time to put his nose back on. If you're wondering about the dungarees, Lidl, £11. Oh, darling. today, the plan of action, I've got a couple of hours. My plan is to get all the back of the truck back on. Tailgate's on. GMC Pacific one, this one, it being a GMC. And everything fits pretty nicely inside the original tubs. I thought maybe the shock mounts might touch the edges, but it looks like the measurements all worked out. We've got a good 25-30mm between there and the edge. So that has all gone swimmingly. Let's stick you down here. That rear wheel is definitely sitting more tucked than it used to. Don't forget, like, subscribe and share if you like it. Cheers. Truck. Wiring day. Here we have the man in the cab.
You?
Okay, quick update. The truck back on the wheels. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I've got my friend here as an extra pair of hands, Gavasconi. We're going to stick the wings back on and the bonnet back on, stuff that needs two pairs of hands. Like a glove. I'm about to get ready to head over to Carl's workshop, who is the guy who built the stainless exhaust for it and helped me with the chassis.
there she is. Tyre burning monster. Great truck, had a lot of fun in this thing. This is it over at Revo's Hub, where we did a bit of a photo shoot for us. Not long after that, unfortunately, it moved on to a new owner. But I would like another truck, and I think the next time I'm going to get a short bed C10. I think that's the next American truck on the scene. A little less fabric work needed on the chassis on those compared to the earlier models. Don't quite have the time I used to get a project that big done up. Down at the beach, at Sandbags. To finish with a few random photos. This is one when we met Steve Dullage and David Freiberger from Roadkill. They flew over to England and we got invited up to go and see them. Pretty sweet. This is Steve Pete, Santa Cruz, used the bike for a few photos with rocks and raspberries. And this is Kimberly Ann. Follow on Instagram. Worthwhile.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. That's the end of that truck, end of an era. Oh well. But don't panic. We're still at the Volvo, and we've got some big plans for that this winter. I'm going to start breaking that apart in the new year. There's a couple of events. One exciting one, the UK version of Drag Week, which is Drag Weekend. Based off Santa Pod, off to another racetrack and back again. I spoke to them to see whether this thing is even worthy of entering that event, and they said yes. So I might stick it in that if it's ready. So who won the t-shirt giveaway? Well, drum roll please. Boop. If that's your name, you're a winner of the Spouse Antics Rolo t-shirt. Get in contact, I'll get in contact with you, get in contact with me, tell me what size you are and I'll get it out to you. Take it easy, have a nice Christmas.